Well, I'm Alan Dale from GaleForceWins, and I want to tell you, I am having a wonderful time talking to the good people at Kean College. They are finding a better way altogether. They understand that the student is key to what they do, and they're constantly evolving the student experience to make sure the student gets the best possible experience the minute they engage with Kean College and work through their academic journey to find a job at the other end. And on that note, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Mcdonald. I help lead the student journey with Kean College, and I think the student journey is really looking at students from a holistic perspective. So understanding that that holistic perspective is the sum of many parts, and all of those parts are critical for a student walking away from Kean feeling like academically they're excelling, that they understand industry, they have opportunities. And so that starts right from admissions, and it goes through their entire academic journey until employment. And so it's understanding how can we support students in that way? How can we build architectures for collaboration? And Kean really empowers the staff and their students to think in that way. And that's an exciting place to be for me. That's why I love getting up every day and going to work. And one of the biggest things that I think Steve and Craig and Jen and the rest of the team really help us understand is that our biggest risk always is low expectations. And I love organizations that think that way, because it makes you think bigger and it makes you feel differently. So yeah, that's a little bit about the student journey.
Oh, I can tell you, I mean, I can feel the passion in your voice when you talk about what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's so vitally important that they have people with your passion involved in the student experience. And what you talk about are these amazing wraparound services that help the student and catch them at the very time that they need them. They need those services. Sounds about, what was your journey to Kean? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I went to Memorial. I actually did neuroscience in Memorial before I did my MBA. And then I started working in the tech space with the Creative Destruction Lab. So I was helping early stage deep tech startups here in St. John's and across the province and across the country. Understand what mentorship is, help them scale, help them, secure equity financing, all of those pieces. And then I actually went out and I was working for SureFast on Fogo Island. And so that was absolutely an amazing experience. I was helping manage their partnerships and philanthropy. And then I had a wonderful conversation with Craig of, telling him how energized I was in the tech space. And, it's such an exciting environment here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And so I started working with Kean as their industry engagement manager. And a big focus of that role was on employment. And then when we started pulling some really good data on, what's working, what's not working, how can we be more agile? Then it started to transition into looking more at the holistic student journey. And so that starts right at the beginning, and figuring out, a better way forward in all of those sums of that whole. So.
Wow, what a beautiful evolution of a journey with Kean, and CDL, such big thinkers in the room there, and to bring that perspective into Kean, and it's fantastic. I mean, you must be excited when these meetings happen and everybody is sharing ideas, because the good ideas come from all directions, and the people in that room are on the cold face of a lot of what you guys are delivering, and they get that feedback. It must be incredible for you to get that.
Yeah, and the openness to change. I think, so many organizations get comfortable, operating the way that they always have. And there's this natural resistance. And one thing about Kean is that change is kind of the core philosophy, and every department is constantly innovating. And I always think of one of my favorite poems when I think about Kean College is that there's a new world as old as our dreams. And I like that idea of, finding a better way forward, but holding on to the things that make you. Right. And it's hard to find that balance, but Kean has really found that.
And in academia, it's not often you hear we're open to change and we're innovative. That's not something you often, associate, right? But here it exists.
It is.
It really does exist. Yeah. They're agile, they're receptive, they're listening to what's going on around them, listening to their staff, listening to the students, listening to their stakeholders out there, so it works so well. And for everybody to come together together with a vision of saying, how do we make ourselves better? You don't see that very often.
No. And it's this deep sense of care that they have for the students. And when I think about the student journey, there's almost two paths that students are on that journey. And one of them is, academics, going to school, all of those things that are very key and focused. But then there's this other external path that's, do students have the right mental health supports? Do they have, access to healthy and fresh food? Do they have housing supports? What does that look like? And I've never, I don't know of many academic institutions that really are monitoring both of those paths at the same time. And Steve, that comes from Steve and Craig and Jen right at the top, that deep sense of care. And I think it energizes all of us to get up in the morning and go to work.
Well, energized is certainly a great word to use around this place because people really are energized here at Kean. I had the pleasure of being at the National Association of Career Colleges in Toronto about a month ago.
Right.
And Kean, it is held as the gold standard nationally. We don't understand that in Newfoundland and Labrador, that Kean College is held as a gold standard across the entire country as the way to do business. How does it feel to be a part of that?
Well, that's everything. That's a place where you can hang your hat, where you can feel like you're going into work every day and you're making a difference. And, working even on the employment side of the student journey, seeing students go out and get jobs and change their lives, that's really important work. And when you can set somebody up for success to, have a new career, to be able to buy a house because they had a job, like those are real things that you see in the community. And as somebody who is from St. John's and would, never leave Newfoundland and Labrador, I love that, we're building that for all Newfoundland and Labradorians here, that, there's a way that we can build a better economy. We can find economic momentum through these types of initiatives, and that's exciting. Everyone wants to be a part of that.
Wow. Thank you very much for your perspective on things. It's incredibly important that they have somebody like you on the team. The people that benefit from that are the students that walk through these doors. Really appreciate your sophisticated approach to the student journey. It's been wonderful to be in conversation with you.
Perfect. It's been wonderful in conversation with you.